welcome.
Not that.
No.
Yeah, not that.
He gonna play the music first.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm just
sorry.
telling everybody I'm going live so we don't keep the chatter. Yeah, I got you with the music.
Let's go.
That's that last dance determination right there.
Right.
He was ready.
Game time.
Good evening. Welcome everyone to Position on Sports Talk Show Post, broadcasting live from the Position on Sports Talk Show YouTube channel and also streaming on Facebook Live. We are a sports talk show made for the fans from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions, perspectives of fans, and positions on the hottest topics in sports, without hidden agendas or difference to any organization or team. My name is Ed, and I'm joining me tonight are my brothers J3, Professor J,
What
and
up?
John and Johnny.
Yo, yes, sir.
We also welcome special guest, the Sensible Gent, aka Sense.
Yo.
Unfortunately, tonight it is with heavy hearts that we send our condolences out to Big Reg as he lost his beloved grandmother yesterday. I also
Shout out, Reg.
want to personally continue praying for you, J3,
Yes, sir.
as you deal with the loss of your great uncle.
Absolutely.
So, gentlemen, how is everyone feeling tonight?
Blessed, man. Blessed. And like you say, man, we got to keep our brothers lifted up in prayer. We got y'all.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
J3, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I want to do a quick shout out to Miss Katise Williams at NKB Boutique for producing our sports gear. So everybody that's got our post gear, want to give her a quick shout out.
Thank
Katise,
you.
we appreciate you. Thank you
That's
so
right.
much.
Johnny?
I need some fresh Katise. I need to put my order in. I got this picture of me on my hoodie. I keep trying to tell him he wants to believe it, but I'm doing pretty good, man. Definitely want to keep J3 and his family in prayer, and definitely Big Reg at this time. Keep them in prayer as well. As far as sports world and how I'm personally feeling, doing pretty well, man. I couldn't complain.
Good. Sense, what about you, buddy?
I'm good. First of all, thank you guys for having me. Second, I echo the sentiments of my brother Johnny, and just give my prayers to you, J3, and the family. Also, Big Reg and family. Feeling good, all things considered, and again, just excited to be here.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
With a name like Sense, you had to do poetry or R&B back in the day.
Go ahead and break it down for him, Sense. Go ahead and break it down.
You know. Hey, my let's just say my background is quite diverse. So
Okay.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Well, guys, me personally, I'm doing good. No complaints. I celebrated a birthday yesterday in the most unusual.
happy birthday, man.
It was
born day.
It was unique. It was normally I'm in Nevada at this time of the year, but that didn't happen obviously. But I'm healthy. I woke up. My family's healthy. But again, I want to send my condolences out to you, J3, and Big Reg. If you're listening, you know we got you. You know we're thinking about you, buddy.
Yeah, he there. We got him online.
So
Ed, you in your early thousands, I'm thinking, right?
Oh, here we go. Why you do me like that? Why you do me?
Happy birthday, my man.
Thank you. But you're not too far off. You definitely not too far off.
I'm a little older than you, brother.
So, fellas, let's talk about something. So, for several months, we've been dealing with this COVID-19 crisis, and sometimes we want to delve into it, and then sometimes, as we have discussed, it just got too much. But I've come to the realization that we can't hide from it. It's ingrained in our life, and what we do every Tuesday, and actually more than Tuesdays, is talk about sports, and it's influencing everything sports related, and we're going to get into that tonight. So again, everybody, hope everyone sits back, relax, enjoys our show tonight. So let's begin with the reopening of the NCAA sports. More specifically, the king of all sports in the NCAA, some would say, college football. It has sparked a heated, if not controversial, debate that has included university presidents, college conference commissioners, medical and science experts, the NCAA president, Mark Emmert, and it's even reached the highest levels of our government. The core issue is how to go about having football season while the COVID-19 pandemic has yet to be fully contained, eradicated, or a vaccine developed, or wide-scale testing made available to the general population. Mm-hmm. Just this past week, President Emmert has stated that we can't imagine schools being able to have sports, i.e. football, if campuses are doing online-only classes. So in other words, he said emphatically, no students on campus means no student athletes on campus either. Makes sense. So fellas, let's get into this. Can player safety and those associated with college sports be completely protected?
I think the short answer is no. But just like we're going to dive into all night long, that money talks. When folks want to have these college games all the way to the pro sports, they're finding ways that they can manipulate the system. Probably they're going to line some pockets of some senators and some House of Representatives. They're going to get these governors to acquiesce. I think we heard out in California today that they locked down till July. But you know, other states are not going to follow suit with that. But I think that they're going to find some way to circumvent the rules in order to be able to get at least the college athletes on campus so that they can start their sports on time.
Okay.
As a player, I would be outraged. And I say that because they're not taking in consideration my health, my safety, or my family. Mm-hmm. There is no way. And trust me, I'm a sports fan. I'm a sports lover. I love football just like the rest of y'all do. But there's no way you would see me on the football field right now. It's too soon. You don't even have everyone tested. And I know they say they're going to test everybody, but I still don't believe that. I really don't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree from that perspective from the student athlete, because now it's like, how far do I push it before I put myself in jeopardy? So yeah, that's a good consideration. What you think, Johnny?
And if you consider the outlook that some individuals felt that when Rudy Gobert contracted COVID-19, he did it in a jovial nature. He was playing too much. One thing with college kids is it's guaranteed that they have that same jovial nature and they're going to be playing as well. So I think it is a bad idea as well. Kids can be very immature and not necessarily taking things as serious as they could, and it could turn college campuses into hotspots. And every major city has them. It can really turn into a really big issue. So I'm glad that President Mark Emmert has came down hard now, but we will see, because money does talk. And the closer we get to the start of the school year, those power conferences, they're going to be used to making a lot of money in those first months. So we will see.
Yeah, you just raised a good point. Does Emmert have enough power to stop the Power 5 schools? I see you, Ed. Go ahead. I know you're stopping.
Well, here's my thing is that it's almost like, and I believe the gentleman, he's part of the NCAA medical committee, and his name is Dugas. He's from Alabama, Birmingham. I think that's where he's located. And basically he's proposing, and I'm paraphrasing this, but he's proposing a sense that allow these college athletes to go back on campus almost like guinea pigs. And that's his words, not mine, to see how everything goes. and then as like a small sample size before you bring the other general entire student population back. And my point is, you can't play with the kids' health. And unlike pro football, even though the finances is huge in college sports, and many people depend on college football to fund their programs, entire programs.
Everything.
You have to understand that it's still collegiate. And I think the last thing that these chancellors and college presidents want is for any hint that their main objective is to make money and not compete as amateurs. Because
Right.
like we talked about before, in fact, last week, that's a slippery slope, particularly when it comes to paying players. Because if it's so vital for these men and women, but we're talking about college football primarily, so I'm not excluding my women, but I'm just saying it's almost impossible to put these athletes back on the field or even repopulate the campus, because if it's not safe for everybody, as far as college, we're not talking about pros yet. If it's not safe for everyone to come on campus, then no one should come on campus.
Right.
So real quick, I want to chime in like this. Think about it this way: you got your representatives, your Democrats, your Republicans, saying that they're not going on the Capitol because they don't feel safe. So if they don't feel safe going to work, why would you risk these students going back to school, exposing themselves?
Right.
Think about that for a second.
Right.
Would you risk yourself going into work when you don't have to?
So the question is the financial pressures the real reason that these decision makers are stressing out about football being played at all in the fall, as far as NCAA double is concerned?
Yeah, I mean,
I
think so.
Is it the financial part of it?
right.
I think, yeah. So
Go ahead, Sense.
No, I think so, because I mean, as you see, just in the on the commercial side of things, with businesses filing for bankruptcy now because of the lack of commerce that's that's being exchanged, because people aren't coming to patronize their product, therefore they're losing out on money. I think that's the same applies to the NCAA, especially with college football, because they rely on sponsorships from corporations and things like that, and they need that college football to kind of keep it going. So with so many unknowns going on with this pandemic, it's like, oh no, what's going to happen now once September comes around? Are we not saying that the NCAA will ultimately crumble, but it's kind of getting there, because if we don't have a product to put out with college football, then what's going to happen?
Yeah, and then interject this part. This is coming from Big Reg. He said, yeah, everything is about the money until the lawsuits start. When parents or athletes start suing the schools if they get sick, or Lord forbid, if they die. So you can throw that monkey wrench into it as well.
How about that?
Yeah.
So let me understand. So whereas pro sports have basically started back up, the UFC UFC 249 this past weekend. It's come out today that Major League Baseball is desperately trying to figure out a way to get their season started, even if it's half a season. And all these sports leagues are lining up, but these are pro leagues. So I don't know if we fully comprehend how important college football is as far as financing these colleges in America. So what you have is, you have the big Power 5 conference teams, right? And I guess there's roughly 65 of those. And they're all splitting this pie of money through licensing, TV contracts, tickets, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's just the surface. That's the division. That's the big boys. But then you have the lesser known teams being paid $1 million, $2 million, or sometimes more to go into these big schools to play. And that one game is financing their entire sports program. So now you're
Scholarships and
talking
everything.
about, so now you talk about not only are you dealing with your university, say you could pick one, University X, not only are you dealing with their financial ramifications, you're also dealing with lesser known schools' finances. And
But we're still talking about people, Ed. We still talking about people. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. We're still talking about people. And you put them on any field, you're exposing them. You're exposing them. And to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Me either.
And
'cause
let me
it's just
throw
so
this
many.
in.
But
Of course they thinking about their pockets because we just talked about it last week. Now you're gonna have to start paying players. So now that's more revenue that's not going to the schools, but it's going out to the players. So you can pick University X. Now they got to contend with what's happening with the pros right now. And they saying if we're going to compete, we got to start paying them too. So now the purses that they were used to collecting, they seeing less coming on there. But now with this pandemic, if they don't play college football this year, I mean, what was the school? Iowa State, roughly $90 million. And that's one of the smaller programs. I mean, think about University of Texas or Alabama or USC. I mean, Ohio State. You think they're going to stand to want to lose that money for an entire year? And Big Red says that it's all about the money. The NCAA can survive a lost season. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. But Reg, they don't want to. They don't want to lose that money.
No, but the question is, we have no doubt the NCAA can survive, but will these schools survive? You see what I'm saying?
The big time schools, yeah. But you just said it, the lesser programs are going to be in jeopardy, and not just football, it's going to be their whole athletic program.
Okay, so now that we know, so now that we've painted a clear picture of the financials involved, should a lack of a cure or a lack of a vaccine prevent college athletes from even competing? I mean, what needs to be in place, medicine and scientific wise? Should that wonder if everything's not set in stone? Like right now, the UFC is competing, right? They don't have there's no cure, there's no vaccine. We don't even know how this virus is going to act. You know, whether it's going to, you know, slow down, whether it's going to reappear. We're at our early stages of discovery, so to speak. So with that in mind, should college athletes, without a lack of a cure, without any of these safeguards in place, other than social distancing and a mask, should we even be having this conversation?
It's short. My son or daughter? The answer is no. I'm with Joe.
I don't think
Absolutely not. Yeah.
so.
No way in the world.
But hold up though, because last week, Johnny, you was all for the UFC fighting. So
And I'm still for it. I'm still for it.
They
But
pros.
we talking about kids. They're pros.
Yeah, they
we
pros.
talking about kids.
So you don't care whether it's a child or it's an adult?
Well,
that makes a difference?
An adult is free to make their own decision. I don't want to
Right.
clip
Well,
their
hold on.
wings because I don't want anybody to clip my wings as well. Now,
But
even
is
if
that
I don't agree with their decision, they're still allowed to make that decision.
But is that true when they're under a contract?
Say it again.
Is that true if they're under contract? Do these
Who's the
players really
professional
have the
athletes?
opportunity to make that decision?
The NCAA athletes,
Yes, I think that's yes.
they can make the decision, yeah, or some of their parents are gonna make it for them.
But hold on now. College kids playing football or whatever sport normally are adults, because you're adult at 18.
Yeah, but they more influential though. I mean, a
Right.
coach, AD, you know, they can get a child or a young adult to make the decision that they want just by that very nature of influencing as a leader. And that's why I say, as a parent, I'm gonna get in my child's ear more than that coach and tell them, look, I don't want to be picking you up off the field in a body bag because you caught COVID from that close contact sport. There's no vaccine, there's no cure. I mean, you got to think about your life over 1 year of a sport.
Yeah, you gotta think about the bigger picture and in the grand scheme of things, like with so many, like I said, I keep emphasizing, there's so many unknowns. We don't even have tests in place yet, though, one person might disagree with that. We don't have tests in place to even have an organized way of, getting this thing under control. So with that being said, no, I'm not going to put my child in danger and, have them compete.
So is the NCAA president, Mark Emmert, is he correct in saying that without all students on campus, no football?
I agree. It's a college campus. That's the difference with the NCAA and the UFC. That small team is also on campus with several thousand other individuals. They need to make sure that ecosystem stays properly controlled, but you can't guarantee that. The thing is with the UFC and other sports agencies, you can test these adults and keep them separated. And then it's up to those athletes to make sure they go home and make sure they're doing things properly to keep themselves safe. But if they want to show up for the next tournament, the next fight, they get tested again. It's going to be too much for the athletes. At school.
Ed, yeah. And Ed, does Emmert really have the power to stop these schools from moving forward with what they want to do?
Well,
Does
see
he
that.
really?
Well, see now therein lies the question, because it seems like they can't even get a consensus on who's going to make this decision.
Right.
Because of the fact that no, all the schools aren't in one specific state. So that means each state, whether on the state level or local level, has their own policies in place as far as shelter in place. And so say if Georgia lifts their shelter in place, right, and they're able to, practice and go about business as usual, does that necessarily mean Florida? Well, that's a bad example.
Yeah.
Does that
California?
My bad. Does that necessarily mean Alabama? Does that necessarily mean that they're going to lift their shelter in place restrictions? And then one of the things that that seems to be that everyone seems to agree with is that you have President Emmert saying one thing as far as he spoke to all these presidents and came to a consensus that, okay, like I just said, no students, no regular college students on campus, no athletes on campus. If you're going to have an online only college, you're not going to be playing sports, right? Well, the Ohio State AD was like, nah, hold up. No, that's not necessarily true. If we're having online classes, that's college. Let's go ahead and play some games. And I'm sure, so if they can't even agree, because on one hand, he's saying that he spoke to all these university presidents and it's agreed that, okay, well, we're not going to have regular school, we're not going to have athletics. But then one of the most powerful men in athletics as far as college football is concerned, the AD of Ohio State says, I think we could work that out.
Yeah, pump your brakes.
So they can't even reach a consensus or at least tell the truth as far as what they all want to do.
Well, you said it earlier, Ed. I mean, you got different states that have different stay in place orders. So again, there's going to be some discrepancies with who's going to play and who's not going to play because of the fact that this area may be a hot spot and this area may be just fine.
Right.
So then you're risking either side, because if they get on the football field, they're going to touch each other, and who knows who's going to get contaminated.
Right. And there goes your competitive imbalance.
Well, here we go. Now, that's an interesting topic you just brought up, Professor J. The competitive imbalance is, so if all these states have different shelter in place lifts, I mean, if they remove all those obstacles, and okay, it's decided that, okay, we can go ahead and start practicing and having these games. Well, if one starts in say the end of June and one can't start up until August, if at all, and they decide to play even a partial schedule, I mean, is it going to be fair to everybody? Like if it's not a universal if it's not a universal start date, will there be competitive imbalances? And more importantly, will players' health be at risk, at stake, because of the fact that they haven't trained long enough, You know, they haven't been with their
Yeah.
team long enough. I
Yeah,
mean,
they need 6 weeks. That's what they said. They need 6 weeks to train and practice.
so is it time for college athletes? Because we got into this a little bit. Do you think it's time that at least at the Power 5 level, the Division I level, do you think it's time that these athletes are represented as far as have, I guess, some type of union? I don't know how you would want to. I don't know how you would
You talking
want to.
dirty. Now.
Yeah,
You talking
you
dirty.
opening up that can all the way.
But like you said, like we were talking about a few seconds ago, who's watching out for the actual athlete? Like, who's really watching out for him? Do you trust the college president who's making millions of dollars, or
Look
do you
out
trust
for yourself.
Well, if it was so easy to look out for yourself, why do the NFL and every major sports organization have a union of some sort? Why is it? If you can only
We're talking about whether or not I want to put myself in a position to possibly get sick or not. It ain't that difficult to me. I don't understand. If I don't want to play because there's a high risk of getting sick over there, guess what? I'm in the house.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm in the
But
house. If a couple of my buddies want to get together and have a photo shoot, I'm probably going to be in the house. I don't understand. It's not that difficult. Side joke.
Yeah, that's why I did like that.
so you think the athletes are cool? There's no need to no one really needs to look out for them except themselves. Now they risk now if you do that, you know they risk losing their scholarship. Now I'm not saying
I respect.
Oh, that would be dirty.
but there's no scholarship worth your life.
Oh man,
There's no there's no
respect
job.
the outlook of a union.
Wow. Do you think the universities were really stooped to taking their scholarships? Wow.
Now that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Dang.
But you think about it. If you're
They're
not
not gonna do
performing,
that.
are they still gonna give you that scholarship?
Oh man.
They will get it.
So then, yeah. So they need protection. They need protection because these kids that come from certain backgrounds gonna be like, man, I'm gonna roll the dice because I got to keep my scholarship because I know I'm good enough to go pro.
Hey, who that?
You just go to
Welcome in. Because he's blowing up the chat room. He might as well jump on.
My man.
Keep up.
All
What up,
right.
Big Red?
Big Reds, welcome to the show.
Hold on, I didn't even see you. Big Red.
Can y'all hear me pretty clearly?
Yes,
We
sir.
got
Absolutely.
loud and clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, I
Welcome
appreciate
to the
all the well
conversation.
thoughts early, but y'all was getting too hot for me on there. I had to
Put the fire out, please.
So Big Reds, to catch you up. I don't know if you heard the last.
I heard everything.
So do you feel that these presidents and the NCAA, do you think they're taking the athletes and their well-being into consideration? And more importantly, do you think it's time that these athletes have representation, someone to look out for them?
The answer to your first question is absolutely not. Right now, you have, especially in the Power 5 conferences who have control of the situation, the university presidents and the conferences are looking out for themselves. Because as you said earlier, the football team finances the rest of the sports organizations. I mean, you take a major college program, Alabama last year, Alabama football made $95 million. After expenses, they gave the university $30 million.
Wow.
The university's athletic budget ran a negative $25 million. So they covered everything.
Wow.
So the big thing is the students tried to unionize before. Northwestern tried that a few years ago. And because that they were college athletes and student athletes, pardon me, they weren't allowed to organize because they weren't considered employees. If you bring these kids back on the campus with no other kids, And the only reason they on campus is to play football.
There you go.
That shield goes out the window because the only reason why they there is to make the university money.
Right.
So now they can go back, try to unionize and try to get their money that they should be paid already.
Right.
And just to let y'all know, California just announced that the public universities in California will not be having on-campus classes. So that wipes out half of the Pac-12 as far as there aren't going to be any students on the campus. Mark
Right.
Emmerich is trying to get cover, saying get some students on the campus so we can say that the campus is open.
And see, and that and the reason I believe, and this is an opinion-based sports talk show backed by facts. The reason I believe that Emmert is, whoa, we really need these students on campus, because he doesn't, and we talked about perception many times on this show. He doesn't want to create the perception that, wait a minute, why are these students playing football? There's no other students on campus. Is that their main purpose? Because that creates a sense of, well, these are pros. Because the only organizations or sports leagues that talking about going and playing without fans are pros. And we all know that pro football is for a money-making entity. That's what they're for. Whereas, and he doesn't want to, I believe they don't want to get in the courtroom and have to argue against the differences between pro football and college football when there really isn't no difference, except that you're not really paying the athletes.
Especially when they already get ready to go to court to argue about the name, image, and likeness.
Right.
Yeah.
You add this
That's what I
on,
was saying.
and then like we talked last week with the G League attacking the basketball, now you'd have this attacking football. That'd be the end of the NCAA.
Right. And that's
Looking
been
that
around,
way.
it's been around too long. It's making too much, printing too much money. That's not going to happen. So let's move this a little forward to speaking of pro sports, the NFL business as usual. Well. It's not surprising or a shock that the NFL, after the staggering numbers and viewership of the 2020 NFL draft, has pushed the momentum of this wave with the release of the 2020 regular season schedule on time. And I'm sure that no one is in disbelief that the NFL is proceeding with business as usual. There's much to be said on this topic, but we have stated and said it very loudly that money talks.
That's right.
Blank walks. So the popularity of the NFL gives its staying power, even in an off season that has crippled most other sports. So this is the question I want to start off in this topic. Is the NFL really that great, or are they the beneficiaries of perfect timing? Meaning they have completed their season before all heck broke loose. So who wants to get?
Yeah, I mean, timing certainly factors in because they still have a allotted amount of time to actually get their season started, even if they truncate it by 2 or 3 games and do a 14-game season. The talk around the NFL is that they could start maybe in October if a September start isn't conducive because of what might happen with COVID during the summer. But again, the NFL is the lion of all lions. They are saying that we are going to move forward. We have a contingency plan. If we lose some games, it's all good. There's even some flexibility that I've been reading with the Super Bowl date. They are looking at all corners of the globe to make sure that things go business as usual. So the NFL, it will take a major blow up in the fall of this second wave that folks like Dr. Fauci and others are talking about to actually hit for the NFL to really put a halt to their operations. So unless that happens, I think a lot of players that you've been hearing from in the media are more jovial and excited about getting back to training camp. I mean, I haven't seen too many players saying that they weren't excited about the upcoming season. So with that said, I mean, I don't see a cog in the wheel just yet.
Yeah, I would say it's both too, because I mean the NFL is like the main cash cow, and folks get up for that like season as opposed to every other season. And yeah, it's perfect timing too, because I mean they have time to, as Jamani said, get their contingency plans in place, and things can start running smoothly. So I think this was kind of fortuitous on for them for all of this to be going on.
I personally think it's perfect timing. The NFL is great. They are the kings as far as North American sports is concerned, as far as making money. But I do believe it's perfect timing. And like, you guys have already touched on, they've had the benefit of they're not stressing, like they're not even creating an aura of stress. And Roger Goodell, in fact, has said, hey, don't speak on it. Like whether it was the start of the draft, whether they were going to hold it at all or delay it, as far as releasing the schedule, and it can go on and on. But that he's creating a calm because there's no need to rush. He's not in a rush. His season technically, yeah, you losing some some training as far as
mini camps and
mini
stuff like
camps
that.
and what have you.
Yeah.
Which players don't want to do anyway.
But professional
Voluntary workouts.
But professional athletes, they work harder at home, and particularly with the new collective bargaining agreements as far as lack of practice times and what have you. They're coming. It's not like back in the day when they get to camp, when they touch foot in camp and in August and July, they're in shape. They're ready to roll.
Absolutely.
They can
Some
actually.
of them.
Well, the
Most of them.
Those who don't hold out.
We're not talking about Big Ben.
Pipe down.
He took a shot at it.
That's my boy, so I can talk about him. I can talk about him.
Your own household.
Hey, I can talk about him.
Your own family.
But for the most part, I think that they're the beneficiaries of the perfect timing. Roger Goodell is going about business as usual, and in the meantime, in the background, I'm sure he has a whole plan as far as how he set the schedule up, as far as the medicine and the science behind opening up. And really, he's not necessarily worried about fans per se actually coming to the stadium, as long as he can put something on the field. I think that's his main concern right now. Johnny, what do you think about this?
I'm pretty sure that I would like to hope that the individuals that are working on vaccines and cures, hopefully sometime by September, October, it'll be readily available.
Wow.
But I do believe they are chasing the money. The timing is perfect. It couldn't have happened at a better time. You got a couple of months ahead of you. And I agree with with the rest of you guys. As long as they can get this testing out, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, testing is one thing. Dr. Fauci already said that don't even hope for a vaccine. The things that they're doing now, the research that they're doing now, even if they come up with something, he says they don't know how safe it would be. So like you said earlier, who's going to be the guinea pigs that actually want to take this so-called vaccine early on when they have no idea whether it's going to hurt or harm the individual more than what it is? And he said it already. He said the coronavirus is going to dictate whether we have sports, yay or nay. And everybody wants to skirt around that issue. They can make contingency plans till the moon come out. But the fact is, if this next wave comes and it hits hard, there will be no sports in North America, no sports around the world, even with Dana White's little island going to come to cease, because it's going to be too critical to make sure people stay safe.
So the question is, are team trainers, medical staffs adequately prepared to spot and treat every symptom of COVID-19?
Hell no.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Let's
Hell
talk
no.
about what Dana White
Hospitals
did
don't
for
have it.
UFC this weekend. To put on the 3 fights that he's doing in Jacksonville, Florida. The one Saturday, he has one tomorrow, and then
Yeah.
this Saturday.
How you did
Dana
that, I'll
White
never
is
know.
going through 1,500 tests in 1 week. Just to test the athletes. They were only allowed to bring 4 of their fight crew with them. He's only using half his normal production staff, and to test the people in the hotel, which he has a hotel booked out.
So now you're dealing with logistics.
Now you're talking about
Wasted
30
money.
teams How you gonna do
Wasted
that with
money.
30 teams
Well,
Wasted
well,
money.
with
Well-
100 people?
well, how will teams travel?
Wasted
Get it
money.
done.
How will they be lodged? And are players going to voluntarily be sequestered for large amounts of time from their families? That's the
Right.
question too. Like you
Yeah.
just
Well,
mentioned,
there's
Reg.
Yeah, because at minimum, if you do the numbers, the NFL, you talking about 3,200 people. How many tests would that turn out to be
Yeah.
during the course of a season?
I don't even think they have that many.
And
Like,
here you got people coming outside every day trying to go to work and trying to earn a living, and they can't even get tested. But yet you're trying to put somebody on the field or inside of a ring just so you can
Right.
be entertained. Well, what kind of sense does that make?
it doesn't mix
I'm
none.
not knocking those individuals. If I guess I'll be the bad guy. I'm not
come
knocking the
with it.
individuals if they're willing to take the test and hop out there on the field. When there's a will, there's a way. And I'm not going to come down harder on the sports industry while there are several other businesses out here working. If that be the case, then the world should be shut down. But it's quite a few individuals who leave my community and y'all communities every day that go to work. Unless I'm going to see individuals out there fighting for everybody, I'm not going to tell the guy who's pushing the ball, who's shooting a jumper, that he can't do what he need to do to provide for his family too. It's foolishness, in my opinion. I think it's foolish. And I'm not going to knock these dudes for being in a position to make some things happen for their organization. That happens
Right.
every day. You
Right.
know, some people work extra hard so they can do things that most people can't do for their families.
But Johnny,
so I'm not knocking these.
but Johnny, is it? I want to go down that road. Is it necessarily fair to compare the average American? I think they make something around $43,000 a year. I think that's the latest statistics. Is it necessarily fair to compare them to an NFL player or a Major League Baseball player or whatever else professional athlete that's making thousands, if not millions of dollars?
What about that trainer that's making $75K? What about that person that puts the lines on the field who's making $40K? What about that person?
And you're putting them at more risk, at a higher rate of risk because of the type of business that they're doing.
Mhm.
And those are the people they aren't thinking about.
Mhm.
What
When you
if they're
think about
all
a lot of
tested
the
then?
trainers, the assistant coaches, a lot of them are older people.
Mhm.
What if they're all tested though?
Yeah.
Because at some point we have to go back out here into this market.
Did you,
Eventually, everybody's going to be out here trying to make something. Right now, with semi-controlled people still, a lot of individuals I know still got their jobs. Some individuals I know who don't have a job
Mhm.
and who are on their butt right now.
Mhm.
So every American who seeks to make sure that when they get home, they got heat, water, and the whole nine like everybody else is going to be looking for some way to pay the bills. I'm not going to knock these guys for doing the same thing. They
I
no
hear you,
different
but
than
that's
me.
where the government needs to come in and step in as
Yeah.
far as providing basic stuff so that people can survive. But when you talking about, you said, what about people that got tested? We had a perfect example this week in the White House. They were testing people every day, and the lady got tested one day negative. The next day she was positive because
Positive.
guess what? Most of these tests that were put out on the market got fast track CDC approval. They were
Mhm.
never tested. They never went through the
Mhm.
regulations. This
Mhm.
15-minute test that they keep pushing has a 15% false positive. So if you test 1,000 people, 150 of them are going to get the wrong results.
Oh, and they found out through a bust at the border that a lot of those kits were counterfeit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not
They
surprised.
eventually are going to get an official test out there.
Mhm.
That was the first wave of tests. They will eventually get an official test out there.
I'm still waiting on my test.
And then those and then people have the right to say if they want to do it or not. Like it's not like these things are being forced on individuals at the moment. They're not being forced to do it. They don't have if I don't want to be there, I'm not going to go. It's that simple.
It's a choice.
You
It's a
going down a
choice.
whole nother rabbit hole, and we
It's
can
a
go
choice.
down there.
But it all
If
goes
you-
together though.
If your job is open, they say you have to be there, and you say you don't want to be there. Guess what? There's a bunch of states right now that are denying people unemployment because they're saying you're voluntarily not showing up to your job.
Mhm.
I understand. It's the risk I'm willing to take for some people. It is what it is. Everybody's not the same. Some
feel you.
individuals are going to be okay doing it. Some are not. Some are better prepared. A lot of individuals who are not rushing things along, a lot of times they're better prepared to handle the moment.
Yeah.
They got
Good
money
point.
saved in the bank.
Yeah.
They're a little
Good
older.
point.
They got some things. You take an individual who has nothing and you keep telling him to stay home. How? I can't stay home. I can't. I don't care if Dana White giving me the test or not to that person.
Yeah, what's scaring me is that we're getting to a point where we are talking about taking away our ability to choose. And that's the
Damn,
American way. That's the American way. We have to be able to decide what's best for us and our families. And if you're
Exactly.
talking about taking that away, yeah, you're going to have a lot of people who are, I mean, people are already getting desperate now. But if we put it back to sport, because we're a sports show, when you give people an opportunity to decide whether they want to get on a field or not, that part I agree with Johnny on. They have that right to choose for themselves. They got to think about their own families. They got to think about their livelihood. They got to think about all of that. What I'm saying is it should not be up to owners, athletic directors, presidents, all these people to put pressure on folks to force them to go back and put them in harm's way, because we have no idea how this thing is going to turn around. No.
Well, let's move forward as far as what this is all about, and as far as the NFL schedule being released. How do we feel? Do we feel that the NFL, because of the timing of everything, do you think they will have all their bases covered in order to play ball this fall?
Yeah, they don't
They're
have all
definitely
bases covered. I mean,
No,
I know
I
they
don't
got a
think
lot
so.
of phases that they put in place and all that, who comes back early and all of that. But I'm going to lean back on Dr. Fauci. He says it's the virus that's going to dictate exactly what happens. If we, by some miracle, and I believe in miracles, we eradicate this thing by the fall, then yeah, everything will be back to business as usual. But if this second wave hits, man, people gonna regret some of the decisions that they making today.
Absolutely, and that's what they're talking about. This second wave, like being like spiking in those months of September and October. So that's another thing to worry about.
Yeah,
So
so
some-
much for the president and thinking summer heat was gonna do away with the coronavirus.
Oh, so let's
Hey, let's get-
steer this off. So let's, speaking of the schedule, talk about week one.
Mhm.
We have a few interesting games that I want to look at.
Yep, you know what?
We have Tampa Bay. I'm gonna just highlight a couple of them. Tell me if anyone has any interest in watching them. We have Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
Who that?
We have the Cowboys. Is Dak playing against the LA Rams? We have disgruntled Aaron Rodgers and a Stephon Diggs less
Yes.
Vikings.
Vikings.
We have
Captain Kirk.
we have a potentially Monday night showdown between the Bear-sized Big Ben at the Giants.
Mhm.
We have locally, we have the Eagles at the Skins. Ron Rivera debut.
Yes.
HTTR.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My household divided.
Will Tua play against
That's the one I want to see.
at the Patriots and Belichick without Brady.
Mhm.
The Browns, the revamped Browns this is Baker Mayfield's third year.
Revamped Browns.
At probably the best team in the NFL, probably with the Ravens. We
Sure.
have the complete meltdown of the Texans versus the Chiefs.
Who gonna throw to? That's the question. Who you gonna throw to?
And that's actually the first game, which is that
Yep, Thursday
Thursday.
night.
So does anybody have any comments on any of these particular?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Saints Bucks. Let's talk about Saints Bucks. Let's go there.
Who that? Who
Because
that?
we about to put Tom in his place.
Who that?
Yeah, let's see if the ageless wonder can really prove himself in this game. And make it show that it wasn't Belichick, but it was him that got him all those rings.
Ooh.
New Orleans has
Big
got the
talk.
super advantage in this game because it's the first game out the chute
Yeah.
in a bad off season where
Yeah.
they're going to be coming into camp late, no mini camps, no. Even though Tom Brady right now has been organizing the wide receivers and tight ends and doing Zoom meetings, he's still not going to have
He
the
cheating
time and down.
already.
So
Right.
you're not going to be able to count this first game. But Tampa Bay coming for them Saints.
Oh, absolutely.
They
They
are.
got their
They
line
are.
built up and everything.
Yeah.
They cheating.
I'm interested to see the Browns and the Ravens. I know that's not really sexy, but I'm really interested in seeing how Baker Mayfield, if he's going to be for real, or is the Browns going to be in the market for Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence?
He's gonna be running for his
Absolutely.
life.
The
in that
Browns
game.
have no excuse now because now you got all these like you had a decent draft to add all of these players that supposed to bulk up your team. So it's no excuse now for Baker. You can't
Yeah,
say
they got an excuse.
Rookie
Odell
coach,
Beckham.
rookie
He gonna
GM.
melt that team down.
He got a
Gonna
new
go
coach and a new
crazy
GM.
like he always does.
but you make it happen. No excuse to make it happen, to not make it happen. In
So I
my
got a question.
You sound like J3.
Got a question for y'all. One of our listeners said, "What do y'all think about the NFL having two starting quarterbacks that is over 40 years old? What y'all think about that?"
I
Well,
don't
we know
trust
one of them
Breeze until
play at a
he's
high
40.
level still. The other one throwing balls in the game.
I'm not even going there right now.
Okay,
Show out.
Jamani.
Here right now.
Okay, Jamani.
There you go.
Everybody,
I
Who's
don't know.
throwing the ball in the ground, Jamani?
full disclosure, bring out
Maybe he'll
white jersey.
deflate the ball and he'll get it down the
Oh,
field.
man.
Oh, wow. That's low blow there.
That's low blow.
there.
Did it? He did it.
I mean, let's be real. 5 years ago, when they put the basic imaginary circle around the quarterbacks and said you can't hit them below the knees, you can't hit them above the chest, and if you hit them too hard and slam them down, you're going to get a penalty. That extended the careers. Unless you're Cam Newton and you still think you're a fullback.
Hold on.
Let's be
Yeah,
real.
Wasn't that rule named after one of the quarterbacks, though?
Keep it moving. Flag on the play.
All right.
Cam
So-
for some reason also gets treated like a middle linebacker. Some
He
things
does.
ain't fair.
See, I was trying to move it on.
So-
Yeah, I felt you. I'm here.
There's no way we can have a show tonight without speaking about UFC 249 and Dana White's return.
Woo.
They staged UFC 49 down in Jacksonville, Florida.
Man, nice
Dana
talk.
White was not to be denied.
I told you.
You told me. So we had a few interesting fights. Big Reg, do you want to?
Yeah, come on, Big Reg.
The fight of the night was the virtuoso performance that Justin Gaethje put on against the boogeyman, Mr. Tony Ferguson, the guy nobody wanted to fight, the guy that even Habib, who's the actual champion of the division, has ducked 5 times. They've been scheduled to fight 5 times against Tony Ferguson, and Habib won't fight him. He always comes up with a reason to get out the fight. And Justin Gaethje punished him. If that had been a real boxing match, they had to stop the fight in the 3rd or 4th round.
Right.
He beat that man so bad he broke his orbital bone.
He sure did. I saw that.
How about that boss
today.
move of the retirement right after you get your interim belt and be like, yeah,
Oh,
I officially retired.
So
just tossed it.
that was I think as far as the full 5 rounds is concerned, that was a methodical. I can't say it on live, but that was a beatdown.
Yeah, he
that
got a
was
beatdown.
methodical.
Yeah, he got beat down.
Yeah, that was one of them Fridays. Damn, you got your...
No. That was Francis Ngannou. That was Francis Ngannou with that knockout.
But
That was less than a minute.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
But do you think Ferguson, and I guess you are what you are as far as the fight night, but do you think Ferguson, it was almost like a letdown, or he didn't necessarily take his opponent seriously? Because he was so focused on Habib for months. I mean, months this has been going on and getting canceled. Or do you think that he's just not in that class?
I think I've been watching Justin Gaethje fight since he's been with UFC and even before he came to UFC. He's considered the human highlight in UFC because he used to come straight forward. Either I'm gonna knock you out or you
he
gonna
can
knock me out.
box. Yeah, he can box.
He lost 2 fights in the near the end of the 3rd rounds and 3-round fights that he was winning because he was just going after people. He went back to his original coach and he worked on his defense. And Ferguson had no idea that he was going to be bobbing and weaving. Did you see him slipping punches?
Yeah.
He was hitting him with a counter. He slipped back, hit him with a counter, pop, pop.
Mhm.
Step 2 steps back. I mean, it was like, that was unbelievable, man. 1 o'clock in the morning, I was in here hooping and hollering.
Now I think that was the best fight as far as 5 rounds. But the most devastating thing I seen is Stevens getting knocked out with an elbow.
Yeah, he got split. Yeah,
And
he got split.
and it was the right elbow. And for good
Yeah,
measure,
yeah.
when he was on the ground, which UFC's these dudes are crazy, y'all.
Yeah.
When he was on the ground, Catter followed up with a left
Yeah.
elbow for good
Fire.
measure. So he
Yeah.
didn't even use his hands as far as the knockout punches.
Yeah, he got some deadly
It was a
elbows.
right and then a left, and that was a wrap. I
Mm-hmm.
felt bad for the man. I
He
honestly
probably got
felt
the virus too.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
What Sensei was talking about was actually Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, Cejudo. I think he coming back.
Okay.
He gonna come back. I think he
I
coming.
don't know, man. He a different cat.
Mhm.
I mean, this was a cat that won the gold medal in the Olympics.
Gold
I think
medal.
it was 2012,
Oh wait.
Yeah.
08,
Oh wait.
and then walked away from wrestling.
Uh-huh. Let me
He
ask you
said he
this
was
though.
tired.
Should they have stopped that fight?
Oh yeah, he hit the man 11 times without him responding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I understand where you're coming from, Professor J, because UFC they go a little. I mean, you can hit somebody on the ground. I mean, it's,
Mhm.
they
Right.
take
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
Yep.
they take it a lot further than boxing, but it was time. It was time. It was inevitable.
Yeah,
inevitable.
we gotta always remember with UFC, Dana White has protected from seeming to be human cockfighting.
Right.
So they actually, it's a safer sport than boxing because when you take multiple blows to the head in repeat succession, they generally will stop the fight quick. Unlike boxing, where you can walk around for 3 minutes and just get beat to a pulp round after round after round after round.
Good point.
However, that's what the referee is in the ring for, to stop that if he's doing his job.
True that. True that.
I'm just saying.
I feel you. I feel you.
So, other items that caught our eye.
Hold on, before we move there, we got to give him his due. I'm talking about UFC Hall of Famer 2020, George St. Pierre, being put in that Hall of Fame. That dude is a beast. Go ahead, Ed. I had to get that.
Give him his props.
Yeah, give him his props.
Give him his props.
So, other items that caught our eye, as far as I'm concerned, I just want to send out a thank you to all the athletes who have offered their support to the Players Coalition. This organization was founded by former NFL players Anquan Bolden and Malcolm Jenkins. And basically, their mission is to make an impact, social justice and racial equality at the federal, state, and local levels. But they're really doing some good work. And I'm really proud of the athletes across all sectors and, from all different backgrounds that have got behind this organization. This is a crazy time we're going through as far as this COVID-19, and not only in America, but worldwide. So I'm really proud of that. And that really spoke volumes to me this past week.
And just to add on to that, Ed, hats off to the Players Coalition, including Mr. Tom Brady for stepping up and putting their weight behind the incident in Georgia.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And putting pressure on the federal government. I mean,
Kudos.
we can do it a lot. When Tom Brady steps up,
right.
hopefully others will step up like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
And
ask
give
you some
Colin
stuff.
Kaepernick a call.
For sure. Right.
We're gonna leave that alone, man.
So it's time for our final post. Is there anything that we're looking forward to? You guys are looking forward to this week, as far as the sports world is concerned?
The
Well,
final airing
Sunday,
of
right?
The last
Yeah,
dance.
Sunday.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
The last days.
What a
Great.
documentary.
Mhm.
absolutely. I can't
Mhm.
wait to talk about that. I have so many
Man,
questions.
oh man.
So
That's
many
gonna
Please
be a
invite me
good
back for that
conversation.
one.
I think there's a
Yeah.
consensus on that. I'm looking forward to the binging the Last Dance, as well as the 80-degree weather that we're going to have. I'm not going to be in the house. I don't care. I'll have face masks.
Absolutely.
I'll have a handkerchief or whatever else. But I'm looking forward to getting out there. Here we go.
Just keep going. Keep going.
I'm looking forward to getting out there, and I hope everybody else has an opportunity to do that as well.
Man, I'm looking forward to UFC Wednesday night, UFC Saturday
Me
night.
too.
Speaking of, so was everybody okay with the crowdless UFC event going on?
You heard every punch.
I enjoyed it because you can hear the intensity of the blows.
Yeah.
You can hear the commentators talking. As
Yeah,
a matter
the
of fact, in the
coaching.
post-fight, they said that a bunch of the fighters were
Yeah,
hearing Daniel
yeah.
Cormier,
Yeah.
and they were
hear
actually
it.
adjusting their tactics in the ring because they
Yeah.
heard what Cormier was saying.
Yeah, the people that lost are upset.
Yeah. I know former Panther and Cowboy Hardy said that to Cormier actually helped him win.
Yeah, because his leg was jacked up. That left leg. Whew.
Yeah, but his fight, he might need to think about doing something different. But that's for another day. So anyway, I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and the chance to share our positions on sports with you. Please tune in next Tuesday at 7 for our next live show. You can also download the show via YouTube or Facebook. Please like and subscribe to our new YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Positions on Sports. We greatly appreciate it if you could tell your friends, family, and social media contacts about our show. We want you to have a good evening and a safe week. This has been the Positions on
Hold on,
Sports
Ed.
Talk Show.
Pump the brakes. We're not done yet. We're going to give y'all a special treat tonight, so just hold on. We got a special shout out. Thank you to my man Sense for being on tonight. Y'all that don't know, this is actually our photographer, our digital media guy. He actually did some wonderful pictures for us that I'm going to share with you guys right now in our outro. So I truly hope that you enjoy what I have to show you next. So hold on one second. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Can you
Want to turn
enlarge
the volume up a little bit?
There you go.
Thank
Good
you
job.
guys.
Beautiful.
All right, go ahead, Ed. You
Good
take
job.
us out.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
So again, please thank you for tuning in to us tonight. This has been the Positions on Sports Talk Show on the Post YouTube channel. Have a good evening.
God
See you,
bless you.
everybody. Thank you for the love and good wishes. I
Appreciate
appreciate
your
it.
Thank you,
support.
bro. Absolutely.